is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 208. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him... Sitting here Wednesday afternoon, sunny Austin, Texas, getting ready to welcome the latest expansion franchise here, San Diego FC, coming to town Sunday afternoon. Get a little primetime game there on Sunday, but I know we have a busy weekend ahead. Some friends coming in from out of town to celebrate a birthday. They will be there with us on Sunday as well. So how you feeling, my friend? Haven't seen you since last weekend, since the victory over LAFC.
Indeed. I'm doing good, man. Super excited to be back at the Q this weekend. Like you said, got some friends coming down from the New York area, celebrate a buddy's birthday down here. So we're getting him into the stadium. Going to be able to sit with him. Shout out to our friend Aaron for doing a little ticket swap with us.
Yeah.
Very, very much appreciated so that we could all be together. So, got that rolled into this matchup here, coming off this huge dub over LAFC. And I want to get some positive momentum rolling. And like you said, the fan base is super excited to latch onto this club. And you get another opportunity here this weekend to get everyone as bought back in as we can, get some positive momentum behind this team and keep this thing rolling. So I'm ready to go, man. Excited to talk about this San Diego team who's been surprising.
Yeah, man, those expansion teams, ever since we came into the league, the two, right? St. Louis, number one seed in 2023, despite my best efforts at jinxing them every other week. We'll see if the same happens here with San Diego. So we'll dive into our opponent coming up this weekend. We've got some important pieces of news to discuss as well. And one more shout out to our buddy Aaron. Look, we came with a nice little package there. Didn't even have to negotiate. First offer accepted. So shout out again to Aaron. Looking forward to seeing him and all of our friends on Sunday. And before we get into the rest of episode 208, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that the best way to support the show is by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. You can toggle on auto downloads on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you get those pods, and then you can support the show going forward. You don't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting that subscribe button does help us grow the podcast, and you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 208, like the video, hit the thumbs up, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So first piece of news, really just a congratulatory mention here. John Gallagher named to the MLS team of the match day for week 4. You see the celebration profile picture that they put in there for Johnny. And this to me is a pretty rare occurrence to see somebody like Gallagher show up on this list, because typically, right, this is a thing that's sponsored by Audi, and they do their little gimmick where like you score a goal and you get the goals, right, all the little Audi O's right there on your graphic. John playing right back, no goal contribution. This is 100% an honor earned by his defensive effort last week, and for that to stand out on a league-wide level, well-deserved. Congrats to John Gallagher. I think his 4th or 5th time being represented on the team of the match day here in his Austin tenure. Muted. Oh.
What happened?
I don't know. You got muted, buddy.
Shoot. Absolutely awesome to see here for Johnny, and like this is what we talk about when it's like stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You get the Dessler injury, Johnny comes in, a true professional, and this is why we were so excited to have him as a depth piece, knowing the game plan, being ready, being focused, being locked in to go in and do your job and to get rewarded, like you said, for an entirely defensive effort versus one of the best players in the league versus one of the best teams in the league is absolutely awesome to see. So huge shout out to Johnny. This is what we need out of these type of guys. You come in and you do your job, you stay ready, and he was ready to roll, and it showed on Saturday.
Especially a guy who has been in a reserve role until last week, filling in for Dessler. And I think it's also like not just a testament to John and his hard work and his fantastic play, especially last week, but it's also a testament to the depth that Rodolfo Borrell has been able to build on this team, where somebody who is in a reserve role when we are fully healthy is able to come in and have a performance like that. So just one last good piece of news coming out of last weekend. And now let's go ahead and move on to the news that was not reported, that was released, that the club called a press conference for, and actually got the league put out all of this information like 45 minutes before club president Andy Loughnane held his press conference. But as most people suspected, on Monday, Tuesday morning, the league announced that the MLS All-Stars will take on the Liga MX All-Stars at the All-Star Game here in July at Q2 Stadium. Now, of course, it's not just the All-Star Game, that will be taking place. There are many other events around town, whether it's activations, whether it's media availabilities, what have you. That's kind of a week-long type of celebration here, and so there will be multiple events held downtown. But then one that I'm very excited for, and that Austin FC season ticket holders have windows both today on Wednesday and then tomorrow on Thursday to have a little pre-sale. The All-Star Skills Challenge, right? We're going to see goalie wars. We're going to see the big skee ball setups there on the pitch at Q2. So this will be July 22nd at 8 is the Skills Challenge. July 23rd at 8 is the All-Star Game between MLS and Liga MX. So I know we've seen some like pricing start to trickle out here today. I think season ticket holders get a slight discount on their Skills Challenge tickets as well. So I know you are hyped for the game and a little indifferent on the Skills Challenge. I think I can get you hyped up for the Skills Challenge. We'll see. I've got a couple months to work on you there. But, you know, it's kind of, this is now like a reality, right? We've got an opponent. We're getting our tickets. You and I will get our ticket window tomorrow. And then it kind of comes down to, I think right now I lean that Messi probably doesn't suit up for this one. But we'll see, man. That chance is still out there hanging in the balance. And, of course, that's what you and I really want to see out of this, outside of some of our Austin guys getting the honor to join the All-Star team.
Yeah, go ahead and take my money. I'm so ready for this. Being able to attend an All-Star weekend, no matter what professional sport it is, sounds really fun to me. So I'm all in for this. Love that we're playing the Liga MX again. That's going to be fun. So I'm super excited. It's going to be a great weekend. And hopefully we have, you know, a decent amount of representation from the Austin side here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about back on episode 200 when we were doing our over-unders, right? I was highlighting how each of the last 4 years, every home team has had at least 2 All-Stars. So, look, man, coach, if you break that precedent, I don't know, man, I might be Nico out. We have to have 2 Austin players on the team here this year, and maybe more. But I don't know if we're going to get more than 2 if we stay mid-table. So, got to rack up the wins between now and I think like mid to late June is when they close that voting. And I don't think voting opens until May. So we will talk more about the All-Star Game, the voting, the festivities, as we get more information over the coming weeks and months. But did want to touch on that here today. And if you are a season ticket holder and listening to this before Thursday morning, unless you sit in the South End, I believe the rest of the stadium, your ticket window for the pre-sale will be on Thursday. So check your emails for those links, all that type of stuff. Anything else for you, E, here on the All-Star announcement?
No, sir.
So a couple pieces of international news, and one of them very, very important and potentially detrimental to Austin's chances here this weekend. But before that, I did get the chance, E, at 11 a.m. today. It was on ESPN+. Liberia took on Tunisia, and our boy Jimmy Farcarland gets the start at left wing for Liberia, and goddamn, man, he was so close to scoring. I thought he had a great first half, and again, I'm looking at this through Verde tinted lenses, of course, but they end up dropping the match 1-0 to Tunisia. Tunisia got a goal in the first 5 minutes, but I thought Liberia played well. They certainly didn't wilt after that first goal, didn't concede anything else, and Tunisia kind of dropped back into a low-ish block and just couldn't break through. Jimmy played 70 minutes before being subbed off, but I don't know, man. I was impressed. It's one of our fringe first team guys who plays the majority of his minutes with our second team. going over there and playing in a World Cup qualifier and playing well. Congrats to Jimmy. I know they've got another match coming up. I think it's on Monday. But if that one is broadcast as well, I will be tuning in. And anybody else who has access to ESPN Plus, I think you should be able to view it too. So congrats to Jimmy on a good showing, even though they dropped the game.
Look, man, that sounds awesome. Sounds super impressive, and like making the most of opportunities. And Jimmy is making noise again. Like he made all that noise at the start of last season, and we were really wondering what he was going to profile out to be. And then we saw him consistently at the next pro level and playing very well at the next pro level. I think he's taken his game up a notch in this very short time frame. But to have this experience to be able in a world qualifying cup, play 70 minutes, almost score a goal, play well to your Verde tinted analysis there and everything like that. So that's fantastic, man. It just keep moving forward, Jimmy. Like, where could this end up? Like, it's exciting. I wasn't reserved to anything in regard to like him definitely getting minutes at the first team or being relegated completely to the next pro level. But like anything can happen. This dude's clearly a worker. He's clearly a gamer, a hooper, ready to roll. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. And, this is a guy who was, despite being a supplemental spot, kind of fringe first team guy that you don't expect to see a ton of minutes this year. He's a guy that had an option that was picked up by Roto. Mm-hmm. So, this is a guy that Rodolfo Borrell wants around, at least here in this period for Austin FC. So, like I mentioned the other international news, and this was something that I did not foresee happening, but somebody did pick up a knock in Ukrainian Camp E. So Alexander Svatok was activated off the reserve list for Ukraine, and he will miss this weekend's match against San Diego FC. So Svatok going out there for Ukraine. Ukraine also playing, they are not in World Cup qualifying matches here. They are in UEFA Nations League qualifying matches. They have a pair against Belgium, little home and home. So hosting Belgium tomorrow, 2:45 p.m. Central on Thursday, and then 2:45 p.m. Central back in Belgium on Sunday. So Svatok will be in action on Sunday at the same time that his Austin teammates are here back in the States. So good luck, Alexander. Stay healthy, my man. and I got my fingers crossed that Julio's ready to go this weekend, because otherwise we might be in trouble.
Yeah, this is interesting news. Obviously excited for him, but man, the timing here is not great. Even if Julio is ready to go, I don't know what you're going to be able to get out of him. You're not going to be able to get 90 out of him. So I know we're going to have to get into this center back depth chart here, but congratulations to Svatok. Hope it goes well, and definitely stay healthy.
Yeah, no question. And then I guess not really international news, but following up on the rumor that we discussed on Sunday's episode, this Leo Väisänen situation, in terms of the rumor mill, has progressed to the point where NL Avdic from Expressen there in Sweden is now reporting that Austin FC has reached a deal to transfer Leo Väisänen to BK Häcken pending medicals. So I believe Leo was supposed to travel for his medicals either yesterday or today, if I'm recalling reading that translated article correctly. But again, it does seem like this is going to come to fruition here, that Leo is going to be moved on. And I think still I would rather have the conversation about what I think we should do with the newfound space and targeted allocation money and things like that, if and when this actually does happen and is announced by the club. But again, all signs point to this being done very, very soon. Because again, that Swedish transfer window closes on the 25th. So about 5.5 days left for them to make this official.
Look, man, I'd be way more excited about this if we weren't so dinged up at center back right now. But the writing was on the wall with Leo, and it didn't work out here. Definitely going to wish him the best, but it wasn't a good campaign here in Austin, and coming to an end, I think, for the right reasons.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else to add on the Leo situation. So let's go ahead and jump into this San Diego match and talk about our opponents this upcoming weekend. San Diego FC, again, expansion side coming to town. And I mean, the last time this happened, shock and awe, and not in a good way, who was it? It was Tim Parker banging in the opening goal right in front of us there in the north end. And then, of course, the Kip Keller debacle with Jared Stroud for St. Louis to take that one on opening night 2023. So Austin fans certainly won't be, I wouldn't think, taking this team too lightly. After at the time coming into that match in 2023, we're feeling hot coming off the conference finals run. We've got these new guys coming in who just, you never know what to expect from an expansion team, but usually it's not great. Yep. At least this time, it's not opening night, and we've got a little bit of a track record here from San Diego FC. This is one of, I think, 4 teams that haven't caught a loss yet this season. Maybe it's a few more, but through 4 matches, San Diego FC sitting on 8 points, 2 wins and 2 draws. And of course, they don't really have much of a club history, but I did want to take a spin through kind of how they came to be. And that led me down a little bit of a path towards just like the history of professional soccer in San Diego. This is far from the first time that the San Diego area has had a professional soccer team. First time back in the NASL days, right? So like 60s, 70s, and 80s. The San Diego Toros. Shout out to the Austin Toros. Now the Austin Spurs, but old D-League days there. San Diego Toros, just one season in 1968 before moving on. And then the San Diego Jaws, also an NASL side, also played for just one season, but that was in 1976. So you can see that the professional soccer roots, although they weren't allowed to grow too deeply there in San Diego in the 60s and 70s, they've been there for a long time. The Jaws actually came back to San Diego 2 years later in 78, renamed as the San Diego Sockers, the Sockers, after NASL folded in 85, they joined the major indoor soccer league. And in the indoor soccer league, the Jaws were they were the Celtics of the indoor league. They won 8 titles in 9 seasons. But then that club folded. The indoor Jaws folded in 1997. Although it was revived twice in the 2000s. Again, to varying degrees of success. But until recently, clearly, since the team is now here, but San Diego has kind of danced around joining MLS, but there's always just been, there's been various hurdles that pop up along the way. So when MLS came into existence in the mid to late 90s, the city considered, submitting a bid, but never did for an expansion club back then in the 90s. And then when they did register some official interest in the 2000s, the league itself was concerned with the fact that they didn't have a soccer specific facility. I believe that bid involved them playing at the old Qualcomm Stadium where the San Diego Chargers played. Not exactly a soccer specific stadium there. Maybe if that happened now, right? Because this team is playing in a football stadium at San Diego State. So I think the league has kind of changed how they approach things like that over the years. There was also a chance that when Chivas USA was being founded, and of course, ultimately they landed in San Diego, in Los Angeles instead of San Diego. But there was a chance that San Diego could have got them. And then 2007, right? Because San Diego's right there on the border. San Diego, Tijuana. Club Tijuana, right? Cholos from Liga MX. They were founded in 2007. So that kind of siphoned off some fans there from that San Diego area, because you can just go right across the border 20, 30 minutes and watch Tijuana matches. So, and then, of course, the last thing in my my little history lesson here of San Diego soccer, of course, San Diego Loyal, the USL Championship side that our own CJ Fodre played 2 seasons for, right? And scored his first professional goal there for the Loyal, coached by Landon Donovan. But then the Loyal were dissolved just 6 months after MLS awarded the expansion bid to San Diego in summer of 2023. Their ownership group, which is something I wanted to look into here, it consists of and I'm going to butcher the shit out of this, the Sicuan Band of the Kumeyaay Nation, which is a Native American tribe. And then a group of businessmen led by Mohammed Mansour, who was the one-time Minister of Transportation in his native Egypt. But I believe he's kind of made his billions here in the States by being his company a large distributor for McDonald's, General Motors, a couple other corporations like that. So this is big money here on the San Diego side of things. I guess we can call the honorary Rodney Redis Award for San Diego, right? Their first ever player signing was a goalkeeper who did play with the Loyal. His name is Duran Fari, and Fari was signed in December of 2023 and then loaned out to, I want to say, Orange County SC for the 2024 season. And he is now on loan in Denmark with... I'm not going to pronounce this because I wrote in the article. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce this, so you can read it for yourself. But one thing about Mansour, the Egyptian owner here, is that he is the founder, or his group is the founders of the Right to Dream Academy, which has ties with this Danish club where Fari is currently on loan. They also have a Right to Dream branch in Egypt and a club that it's tied to there. And so the Right to Dream Academy opening a branch in San Diego. They are welcoming in their inaugural class this year. And Right to Dream has been very, very successful. It actually was based, or is still based, in Accra, Ghana, right? So where Osman Bukhari was born. And since 2007, the Right to Dream Academy has produced more than 155 graduates who are playing professionally across the globe, with more than 65 of those graduates receiving national team call-ups. We actually faced off against one of those graduates last weekend. Yaya Boa is a graduate of the Right to Dream Academy. So this network, I think, is going to be a giant boost for San Diego in the coming years, not just to set the baseline for their club, but be a constant feeder. And we have seen some of that already taking place, because when you look at their player personnel, not connected to Right to Dream here, the biggest name is Chucky Lozano, right? Coming over, he was their first designated player signing. They signed him before they got a coach or a sporting director. And like, that's the caliber of player, right? Even you and I, as relative casuals to the global game, know exactly who Chucky Lozano is and what his resume looks like. So outside of Lozano, Anders Dreyer is their other DP. They are actually, and I can bring up here their roster profile. San Diego has taken a 2-4 GAM roster path. Right now they have both designated players in Lozano and Dreyer, and just 2 U22 slots. With Heine Gilking Brusith, I don't know if you remember him from the expansion draft, but they took him from Orlando as a U22, and then I believe traded for Tomas Engel as a U22 from LAFC. But Dreyer, Danish international, and was brought in on a $5 million fee from Anderlecht in Belgium, and he'll slot in on the right wing. San Diego likes to run a 4-4-3 as kind of their base formation in possession. But you see a lot of Danes on this roster, again, getting back to the pipeline between kind of their sister clubs here, that network of the Right to Dream Academy clubs. Marcus Ingvartsen, another Danish international. He was that, I have vowed to not try to pronounce this club's name, so he was with their Danish club. And coincidentally, that was also his first professional club. So he's had 2 stints with the Danish club there in their network. He also had stops with Mainz 05 and Union Berlin in Germany, and a 2-year stint with Genk in Belgium. Plays up top as a striker in San Diego's attack. Luca De La Torre. That's a familiar name for fans of the U.S. men's national team. Actually a San Diego native, so they've got the hometown boy. He's on loan from Celta de Vigo in La Liga. Box-to-box midfielder. He's been very solid for them throughout the first month of this season, and actually did not get called up this week. So De La Torre expected to be available for San Diego this Sunday. Paddy McNair, from Northern Ireland, and he is the pillar of their back line right now. He has over 300 appearances for clubs like Manchester United, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough. So like McNair, very, very experienced, and I think a big reason why they've been able to be so successful, matching Austin with just 2 goals conceded through their first 4 matches. A couple other names: Andres Reyes, traded from New York Red Bull to San Diego in the offseason for $800K GAM. Center back has yet to debut for the club. Their coach, Mikey Varas, is kind of being a little bit coy and like said a couple weeks ago that Reyes is like not exactly injured. I don't think he's played since the mysterious quote unquote illness that kept him out of the MLS Cup final, right? He warmed up and everything for that game, and all of a sudden he's not playing. Hasn't played since. So I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on there with Reyes, but wouldn't it just be our luck that with Patty McNair out on international duty, if Reyes comes back, I would be just a little bit upset. If they're missing both of those guys, San Diego could have some big problems on the back line. And then last, but certainly not least, Jet Sjeverskov. Terrible job there. Another Danish international coming from that same club that I refuse to attempt to pronounce here. Midfielder, previously spent his entire professional career playing in his native Denmark before arriving in San Diego this season. And he and De La Torre in the midfield have been kind of just extremely steady for them over the first month of the season. So there's some names for you here on this San Diego roster. Again, DPs of Dreyer and Lozano, De La Torre, Ingvartsen, McNair, Reyes, and then Ani Valakari is their other TAM player. He's there on loan. And we could see him also slot in to the attacking half here for San Diego on Sunday. I mentioned Mikey Varas is their head coach. Varas came to them from, let's see, his resume, assistant coaching gigs, Sacramento Republic in USL. FC Dallas, assistant coach. And the U.S. men's national team. And also head coaching duties for the youth national team, the U20s. And he actually had a 2-game interim stint for the U.S. men's national team last year before being hired by San Diego. Their GM, Tyler Heaps. Fucking Christ, man. He's 33 years old. Yeah. And so like now we've got Eric Ramsey, who came in last year, younger than us. We've got Tyler Heaps on the GM side, younger than us. Fuck these dudes, man. Like we shouldn't be feeling so old here in our 30s. But they've got, I think, in the front office, on their roster, they're off to a very strong start here. And again, I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this yet on the pod. They have the second most GAM in their coffers of any team in the league. Part of that is you take the 2-4 GAM roster path. Part of that is expansion sides get additional GAM to help them get their rosters off the ground. But as we've seen in the past, you can get that additional GAM, those additional resources, and really fuck up your cap sheet. So, like, I do think that this San Diego FC side is, from a roster build perspective, off to a much better start from an efficiency standpoint than Austin FC was 5 years ago.
I have to agree with you there. And I was going to bring up all those Danish connections, but with all the detective and sleuthing work you did there, found out how this dude made money, all about this academy over there in Ghana. So I wanted to contribute, but you took my my Danish connection there. Yeah, look, I like how they've built this roster. I think that they've been really efficient with it. They've brought in some veteran players and some guys that have clearly are working well together. You know, the thing about this team that everyone was saying before the season was that it was going to be really difficult for them to score goals and create chances, but they were going to be stout defensively. As you mentioned, only 2 goals conceded on the season, two clean sheets, I believe, as well, tied with Austin. So like they've done that on that side of the ball, but they have also paired it with some pretty impressive performances on the offensive side of the ball. They're top 10 in goals per match right now with the 6 on FOTMob. They're top 3 in expected goals, top 10 in shots on target per match. They've created 11 big chances, which is only 2 off second in the MLS right now, according to FOTMob. So they've been able to score goals and they've been able to create chances. I've seen a bit of them. I think the game I watched the most was the first matchup that they had. Wanted to see like the debut and everything and like the stadium and how it was going to look. And they looked good. Obviously, Chucky, I think, goes down in that game. But
second match. But yeah, went down early. Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, we know what he brings to the table. The Dreyer dude has been really dangerous. He's got a very, very strong left foot. He can put some really nice shots on target. So like when we were looking at this team originally, like you understand the component of being a new franchise, the mystery of what this team is actually going to look like. Do they have their leaders? Do they have the vocal guys on the team to like make this a cohesive unit? And thus far, they've done that very well. I think De La Torre has been fantastic for them. box-to-box kind of midfielder who's actually able to do what we've been looking for so long in regard to that transition from the back line up to your attacking players with efficiency and pace. So like this team is going to be solid. I know they're a little dinged up right now. And I know they're going to be missing some key contributors because of international duty. But again, a team that I think we can beat with all that being said. But it's not going to be a gimme match by any stretch of the imagination in my eyes.
Yeah, and I think pretty good summary there by you. Like they have been very, very efficient through these first 4 matches. They strike me as a team like this year in terms of their style of play that they're like a discount LAFC in terms of like they have like they kind of built out a staunch defense here that's not going to allow a ton in terms of chances for their opponents. And then when they do get possession, they're very, very direct. They really want to fuck you up on the counter. Yep. But because of some of the absences they're going to have this weekend, like we assume that Chucky Lozano is going to miss here again. Like his injury wasn't considered serious, but because they've banked 8 points through their first 4 matches, I don't think that you'll see that club rushing Chucky back out there. Or Marcus Ingvartsen goes down early in the first half last week and gets subbed off. Like if he's not 100%, I don't expect to see him start and maybe not play at all here this weekend. They're going to be missing Paddy McNair, as I mentioned. Also, one-time Austin rumor this past offseason, Anibal Godoy landed in San Diego. He will also be out for international duties, taking on the United States in the Nations League semis on Thursday night. And then, of course, Andres Reyes is just kind of a big question mark. And so if he, like I mentioned earlier, if Reyes and McNair are missing, this is going to be a very, very shorthanded team. But talking more about us, right? We're going to be shorthanded as well because we know Leo on the outs, Jimmy, international duty, Mirtu Azuni, international duty. Now Alexander Svatok, international duty. Mikkel Dessler, out with the hamstring. Julio Cascante is now the burning question, and I think the biggest topic headed into tomorrow on Thursday, media availability with Coach Nico. That should be the first question is, what's Julio's status? Because if he's able to start in this match, oh man, do I feel so much better about our chances. And I think that's maybe where we should start our conversation about everybody's favorite team here. Let's say Julio is out. What do we do? Do you have thoughts there?
I think if I knew what to do there, I should get a coaching job. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I really, really don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously you have the capability to call up an Antonio Gomez, a Nico Van Ryn, somebody from the second team. And maybe we see that. Maybe. To me, Julio being ready to go on Sunday, I don't think should surprise us at all because the timeline was 2 to 4 weeks. Sunday will be 1 day past 3 weeks since he was subbed out at Portland. So like it would be right on schedule, right in the middle of the timeline that they gave. And I think again, if there is a significant chance that he re-injures the hamstring, the sports scientist team, the athletic trainers are not going to let him go play. But again, I just don't think we should be surprised if we see him in the starting 11 and able to play the full 90. Now, if he is out, I would not be surprised to see a call-up of one of those FCTO center backs because we just need the bodies. But I would be very surprised to see one of those guys touch the field. Like, I think we end up with Biru as a second center back. I don't think we can go a 3-back with wingbacks, right? Like a 5-back on defense, because who's the other guy that you put back there? Like maybe Dubersarski or Sabovic with their size could do something like that as like a right center back tucked in between BHI in the middle and Johnny out on the right. But I think we probably stay with the 4-back look and you slide Biru in to that left center back slot and Kolmanich plays out at left back. But again, I think Julio's going to play, so I'm not too concerned about it. But man, if he is ruled out between now and Sunday, then that is going to be, I think, dominating the fan conversation is what the hell is it going to look like when we roll out the lineup on Sunday? But maybe I'm just choosing to like be overly optimistic, but that's how I see this situation.
Look, I think I would be surprised if he was available for 90 minutes.
Okay.
You know, particularly given where we're at right now, at the beginning part of this season, rushing him back and asking him to do a full 90. I don't know. You know, maybe he's looked better in training. I haven't seen that type of stuff and everything.
Right.
But yes, this is not breaking news that like this will be a huge issue if he's not ready. You know, I would have had more confidence in some of these other center backs that we've had in the past at the FC Toe level, your Sal Mazzaferros and everything like that. But these other two guys, Van Rijn and Gomez, I just don't know if I've seen enough out of them to feel like, okay, yes, even in a pinch, I'd feel really good about this. So that's why I really don't know. Also, like we don't have the understanding of, does Nico have different formations for the back line in his pocket that they've worked on? We knew that with the last coaching staff that they would bust out that 5-back when we had some situations, particularly with the situations that we had at center back where, you know, we're slotting Alex Ring back there. We're trying to find anything. Shifting Biru in to the center back position, I just like, it's not ideal. I think he could do it, but I do.
None
I
of it's going to feel good.
Yeah, I really think that hurts the offensive side of the ball for us quite a bit in regard to what Beer is able to do and how he's able to create. Obviously, we got the goal out of him last week and everything, but it's just going to be a really difficult look for me. I feel fine about Komanich potentially getting the start out there. I just understand the drop-off between those two players. So it is really interesting. I'm hoping that we can get a start out of Julio. We know what he brings to the team on the offensive side of the ball, but this is going to be a situation you're going to have to monitor in regards to the injury report. And then throughout the course of this 90 minutes, how does Julio look if he's ready? Is he up to the level that we need him to be? Are we risking him? So like, this is a difficult situation to be in right now, particularly with Svatok going, obviously Leo on the sale and everything, but like, that's just poor timing for this club right now. So people who get paid more money than me are going to have to figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So again, we'll see, hopefully on Thursday, right? When most people are listening to this, hopefully we already know that Estevez has come out and said, yeah, Julio's available. He's going to be good to go. So that could be the best news that could come across on Thursday. Of course, if and when news about Julio comes across, we will have that posted to all of our social media accounts. So looking at the rest of the team, like, the only other guy that you need to, in terms of availability, replace from last week's starting 11 is Mirtu Azuni. And to me, I think we're going to see Nico go back to the 4-3-3 look that we saw against Sporting KC in the opener, where Owen Wolf is playing that 10, Sabo and Ilie behind him, and you slot in Hader Obrian for Mirtu Azuni, and then you put him out on the wing opposite Osman Bukhari with BV up top. And Owen has the freedom to float over to either flank and combine with the wingers or push up more as a second forward. And then also have some of that responsibility to play at times as a true 10. And speaking of that, he obviously hasn't played as a true 10 for the majority of these first 4 matches, but that hasn't stopped the stats from really highlighting how good Owen Wolf has been this season here, Ian. This is per Opta. This is the list of players who have, per 90 minutes, 4 or more progressive passes, 4 or more progressive carries, and 4 or more progressive passes received, right? So these are kind of the hubs of these teams, of these offenses, and these are some names, man. 5 of them are designated players. Lionel Messi, Christian Espinoza, David Da Costa, Jonathan Bamba, Federico Bernardeschi. I believe 3 of these guys are U22s. David Martinez from LAFC, Logan Ndenbe from Sporting, Eddie Ocampo from the undefeated first place Supporters Shield leading Vancouver Whitecaps, and then 2 TAM guys, Luca Orejano and Luca De La Torre from Cincy and San Diego. And then you have Owen Wolf on the homegrown contract, not hitting the salary cap. Again, just like highlighting, like, not just the elevated play and the high level of play that we've seen from Owen. And this isn't even really taking into account the defensive effort that we've seen from him so far this season. But just how much he's contributing kind of in all facets, man. I thought this was, again, it's only a month of the season. We're like 10% of the way through here, or slightly over that, but that's pretty good company.
That's really great company right there. And it's like good to see a stat like this because obviously Owen's got the 2 assists on the season. And if you're paying close attention to the games, you're understanding the impact that he's having, but be able to see this visually and understand what the caliber of other players are who are doing things like this that Owen is doing right now is really impressive to see. So hopefully he can keep this thing going. And I don't anticipate him slowing down. He's been fantastic.
Yeah. And again, maybe those numbers drop a little bit as we get a larger sample size here in 2025, but it's been a great start for him. And so, of course, that's encouraging. And we won't have Mirtu Izuni this weekend, but, and you talk about small sample sizes, this is definitely one. But again, it is good company here. Here's the list of players with a higher expected goals per 90 in MLS this season, higher than Mirtu Izuni. And this is a minimum 180 minutes played. So if somebody comes off the bench for 10 minutes, scores a goal, right, high XG, whatever. We try to eliminate some of that. This is still a very small sample, but again, good company. Hugo Kuipers, Ty Baribo, Christian Benteke, Lionel Messi, Kelvin Yeboah, Jordan Morris, Kevin Denke, Anders Dreyer, Prince Owusu, Simon Betcher, Emmanuel Latte Lath, who, right, the 2 record transfers in Denke and Latte Lath here, and then Mirtu Izuni. So again, he hasn't put one in the back of the net quite yet, but he's getting in very dangerous positions. And again, I know that's only 2.5 games of an XG sample there, but I still have all the belief in the world that Mirtu is going to come back from this international break and start banging those goals home.
Absolutely. I mean, he's going to be missed in this weekend's matchup for sure. But one thing that we talked about before we jumped on air here and understanding that both of these teams are going to be without key contributors is that we thought that our depth was going to come into play and that we were going to be able to make up some of the impact that was going to be lost with key players out of this rotation. San Diego, as we talked about, has been impressive on the offensive side of the ball here. But when you're going to have to start getting this rotation, this season starts to pick up a little bit. There are question marks regarding their depth. Being able to put hot air in, shifting our formation, getting BV at a true 9 kind of slot, everything like that, and having Buka on the right side of the ball with his strong foot, I think is more advantageous for us. So didn't mean to take that off of the Izuni stats here, but just wanted to make sure that, we understood and the listeners understood that I think we're in a better place depth-wise than San Diego is right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's really in question when you're looking at the 2 depth charts here at this point. But again, it could be real freaking thin if Julio is not ready to go. Do you have anything else to add? I mean, you mentioned I also would like to see Buka on the right here this weekend if we're in that 4-3-3. Give him his strong foot, put him over there with Johnny G. Right, we saw those guys combine really well when Johnny came off the bench against Colorado. So I would like to see that, but again, don't care how you get it done, boys. We need 3 points. Yeah. Anything else for you on this match on either side of the ball?
Just going over the lineup here in my head, I think midfield now definitely solidified with those 3, Ilya, Owen, and Sabo. I think, should we be talking about Thomas Riley? Because if you're shifting Biru in, is he one of the guys that might gets called up here? Like if you're shifting,
I think we probably see Riley Thomas get called up regardless. But they could also, if they're trying to kind of tag team the call ups here, right? Because each guy only has 4, so Riley only has 3 remaining. Antonio Gomez has also played some right back last season for FCito in a pinch. So you might see, especially if Julio's out, again, this is just kind of grasping at straws here, but maybe you call up Gomez and Van Ryn, and Van Ryn is your center back sub, and or maybe your starter, who fucking knows. And Riley is your backup right back in case you're going to slide John inside or what have you. But again, I think the most likely thing here still is Julio's ready to go, and we don't see an Austin FC 2 player touch the field. I do expect at least one call-up, though.
Okay. Tactical side. Are you anticipating something like we saw versus LAFC? We understood that this is kind of LAFC light, that they're going to be able to absorb pressure, then hit you directly. Yeah. Do you think, given the success that we had last week with how that looked for us, Dreyer, I think, is a player who deserves doubles too. I think that he's in that class of player that deserves a double. So I think that this strategy might be similar to what we saw on the road, despite coming back home where we usually see a big uptick in our possession. But I think ceding possession to them could be a good look here. Where are you at on that?
I think for me, I would rather, kind of as you hinted at there, like at home, like let's get back to what we want to do. And like at its core, Nico wants to possess the ball. He's already shown that he'll make adjustments based on the opponent or the game state. Like not all of those has been successful, but he's been flexible. I just think against this team that is relatively new, that will have pieces in their starting lineup that really aren't kind of starting caliber. Like you think back to some of the lineups we had to roll out back in 2021, and like unfortunately over the past 2 years as well at times. Yeah. I think you stay on the front foot at home. You control the possession. You make those guys work defensively, but you do, to your point, you trust in that defensive structure that has been so good for Austin so far this season. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's a good point, that especially with San Diego being shorthanded, if Chucky doesn't suit up, I don't know why you couldn't double team Dreyer and really try to force the rest of their team to be the ones that make the plays and finish the plays, or attempt to finish the plays, and try to take Dreyer out of this, because it's quite clear that when they have the ball, whether he's on the ball or he's making runs, he's the most dangerous guy they're going to have out there from who we expect to be available. But I do think, to answer your question again, I think we try to control the possession in this match and really turn the screws on San Diego defensively. See if they can hold up here at a Q2 stadium. It's going to be mid-80s there, so like it's not overly toasty outside, and it's not like it's exactly cool it's not cold weather in San Diego. But I just think we have the upper hand here. Talent, home field, weather I think will be a bigger factor for them than us. We'll see. But I'm feeling good about this one, man. And I will go first again this week.
Okay.
Predicting how much Austin FC is going to win by this Sunday, I've got a 2-0, man. I think we hold a clean sheet here with how shorthanded they are. I think we'll be able to find some of those advantages defensively to take their remaining key players or make them a little bit less effective. And, sending those double teams at Dreyer. I think you've convinced me that I want to at least see us attempting that here this weekend. So I've got the 2-0.
Okay. I think I'm going to go 1-0.
Okay.
I respect their defensive unit, even without McNair. We knew that they were going to be solid on the defensive side of the ball. Missing Uzuni, I think, is going to hurt, as you mentioned, with the expected goals per 90 there. Like, he's starting to generate chances. We've got some better looks last week versus LAFC, but still, I think it's going to be hard to score in this team. I think they're going to struggle to score as well. But I think, still the burning question for me is Julio, because we understand how he impacts us offensively. And if he's not 100%, even if he does get the start, if he's not 100% and like can give us a full 90, I think that does hurt our offensive possession and how he's able to get the ball out of the back. And I think there's going to be some hodgepodge with the lineup in regard to the chemistry between guys. Like we saw some good stuff between Buka and Johnny, but if we're looking at Komanich and Hot Air on the left side, I am a bit concerned about that. So I'll stick with 1-0 here, but 3 points for the boys. Yeah.
And again, like anything above 1 goal would be a new high for the season. Yeah. If we can put up multiple goals here at home, you'll feel pretty good. So a 2-0 for me, a 1-0 for Ian. Of course, we don't care how you get it done, boys. Just give us the 3 points. So let's close out episode 208 with a little bit of the nonsense. Again, Austin FC 2 on a bye week here this week. They will take on St. Louis City SC2 next Sunday after the first team. So we will preview that match on next Wednesday's episode. One thing we really haven't talked a lot about here to start the season is the Verde Best Ball League. So we're a month in here through 4 weeks rather. And We Are Austin TV up top there with 193 total points. We actually tied the We Are Austin TV boys with 49 points last week, so we will take that. But the defending champion, Verde all day, sitting in second, right on their heels at 187 points. We're 16 points back of Verde all day as we jump up into third, passing Moon Tower, who had just 31 points in week 4, but they're right there, 166 points. A big 41 from David Goss and Soccer Wise to keep him in touch with the field, because our boys at the Verde Pendant in the mud here, just 20 points last week from the VP boys. Good for them, though, that John McCarthy got back in net for the Galaxy, because Mikovic started the opener, and it looked like they might be without one of their 2 keepers until our first transfer window here, but they also had 4 other DNPs on the week. So did Verde all day in terms of the DNP. So, I don't know if that's an excuse. You guys might just stink this year. I don't know.
Look, we've struggled with getting starting keepers before, so understand their plight right now. This is great to see. Soccer Wise, man, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, pick it up. Pick it up.
Come on, man.
Well, and of course, international break this weekend, so it could be rough for some of the best ball rosters.
Yeah.
Just going through ours, Cabecita is still out. Olivier Giroud, I think, is still out here for LAFC. Missed last week.
Might as well be.
We're missing Azuni, Gazdag this week. We will miss Andre Blake, so we could really use another Austin clean sheet there for our one active keeper this week in Bradley Scott Stuver. But been a fun start to the season here. Honestly, I hope the VP team is able to pick it up and stay in touch here. And again, even if they continue to slide a little bit, we've got 2 transfer windows this season. That first one coming up in about 6 weeks here. So we will be able to make some tweaks before too long. So just keeping up with all this. And of course, all these scores are posted when they're calculated early in the week each week. So best of luck to all the teams here in week 5.
Indeed.
And then on the pick side of things here, the underdog entry doesn't come up 1 shot short this week. 2 shots short. Petar Musa, Dallas dropping a match to shorthanded Vancouver at home there. And we got the Mirtu Azuni shot on target. We got Brad Guzan giving up more than 1.5 goals to Inter Miami, but not to be here. So 9 of 12 on our total underdog picks here through 4 weeks. And this is as good a time as any to remind you to sign up at Underdog Fantasy. The MLS season is here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog. Promo code NORTHEND when you sign up at Underdog Fantasy. And again, the link to sign up in the description of this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio version, that link is in the description. You click on that, promo code NORTHEND to sign up. You get the bonus cash. You get the free pick. Then you come back here on Saturday morning to see what we've got for our week 5 selections. Again, if you have tailed all 4 of our entries, you are sitting at plus 6.96 units still on Underdog. And if you have been tailing the regularly scheduled betting picks, you are also up on the season here. Very successful week in week 4. NYCFC with the win and over 1.5 in that game. That was minus 105. FC Dallas does not come through for us, nor does the Philadelphia Union, but St. Louis City and Inter Miami, both at plus money coming through with their money lines there. And then in terms of our goal scorers, of course, no Azuni, no Buka. Man, that plus 370 Azuni would have been nice if he taps that one home. Petar Musa, of course, did not score, but we get goals from Ezekiel Ponce in Houston, Chicho in San Jose, and Leo Messi at plus 115. We also got hits on Jonathan Bamba and David Da Costa to score or give assists. So on the week, plus 4.8 units, bringing us to plus 3 on the season. So if you have tailed every pick in the North End so far this year, you are up 9.96 units across your sites. And that's what we love to see. That is the goal here. Make a couple jelly beans while having some fun.
I would love to meet the person who tails every North End pick.
Yeah, right.
I would love if there's someone out there who's
We'll buy you
doing
a
that.
beer, man.
Yeah, well, we're friends already.
And then you can buy us one with the money
Yeah.
you won. All right, man. Anything else for you here before we shut it down on episode 208?
Just looking forward to seeing everyone at the stadium. Let's have some fun. Let's get a dub.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I don't think we mentioned this in the preview itself, but kickoff is 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. So going to be another mid-afternoon game here. A little bit of a weird schedule. Or Sunday next week, too, against St. Louis before kind of getting back to more of a regularly scheduled slate of games. But 3 p.m. Sunday. Hope everybody is able to make it out to Q2. And excited, just like you, E, to see all of our friends at Soccer Church. We appreciate you tuning in and sticking with us here on episode 208 of the North End Podcast. Because of the Sunday match, we will be back on Monday recapping Austin FC's matchup against San Diego FC and recapping all the Austin FC news that happens between now and then. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We'll do the same, and we'll see you back here on Monday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.